of the morning, everybody. It is good to have you here, an at-home edition of The Sweat coming at you, presented by DraftKings. So we've got coming up here in the next 55 minutes, we got some NHL preseason picks because, believe it or not, the regular season opens in Prague in just a few days from now. We also have Monday Night Football picks to dish out. So we're talking DFS. We're talking best bets. Steve Buchanan will join us to discuss the final stretch here in the Major League Baseball season. Just 3 more days to go. Will Aaron Judge get 62? But first things first, you know what we love to do on Monday morning? We like to overreact, and we're going to do so to what went down in the NFL yesterday, week 4. Julian Edlow, Jeff Ulrich, good to have you two gentlemen here with us. It is NFL Hangover. Let's start in the MVP market, though, because you had Josh Allen out-dueling Lamar Jackson. You had Mahomes out-dueling Brady. You had Jalen Hurts out-dueling Trevor Lawrence. Tua, he got hurt on Thursday. So, Jeff, again, MVP market here. How's Mahomes at plus 600 looking after last night?
I would say he's looking pretty good, to be honest. If the Kansas City Chiefs win that division, they get into the playoffs with the top seed, all without Tyreek Hill, and this offense is clicking like it did last week. Voters are going to have a hard time not voting for Patrick Mahomes, and that's with the Bills potentially being really good, like with injury issues as well. So, Josh Allen is going to be up there unless, he gets injured or something like that. I mean, even if the Bills lose a game here or two, like they've got injuries. So Josh Allen is not going away unless something drastic happens. But like Patrick Mahomes, I mean, what he does in the highlight reel plays, man, like plus 600, I'm honestly surprised. I mean, I thought he would have moved more after last night's game. You beat Tom Brady on primetime, and you're still the 4th favorite after Hurts and Jackson. I'm honestly surprised he's there. I think it's actually a good bet. I think it's a good time to take him. That division right now, the Chiefs are in the driver's seat. And if they win, I mean, Patrick Mahomes at the very least is going to have a puncher's chance of stealing this from Josh Allen. So yeah, this is like where I think the money should be going right now if you're looking at the top 4 players.
Jules, would you have a hard time not voting for Patrick Mahomes?
The MVP odds are interesting right now because all 4 of Josh Allen, Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Mahomes all saw their odds improve since last week. And that's weird that Jackson's included in that after the Bills shut him out at home in the second half and Buffalo won that game. So I've been saying Josh Allen all year. It's hard to bet him now at plus 275 as the favorite. I just think the Bills, what we've seen from them, they're the best team, and they're that upcoming team, and it comes with that narrative of giving it to Josh Allen. Like, given that it's something you vote on, I think the narratives obviously play a huge role here. I think if the Bills remain the best team, a lot of people want to vote for Josh Allen. That said, and the comeback in Baltimore, 3-point comeback, that all plays into it. So I think the comeback for Allen does a little bit more than Mahomes did for himself last night. But that said, you're playing Tom Brady in a national game and making these ridiculous throws to dominate that game. Mahomes is a better bet right now than Lamar Jackson or even Jalen Hurts, I think.
I think Jeff, the problem with Hurts too is like he doesn't have that many primetime games to go up against. It's hard for me to see Hurts picking off Allen or Mahomes. I think if I had a Josh Allen ticket, I'd probably think about hedging with Mahomes at plus 600 right now. That's
other guys kind of have to lose some games and knock themselves down as the Eagles keep winning for the Hurts narrative to build. That's kind of just like give it to the quarterback on the best team. If Philly gets the best regular season record, it feels like that's Hurts' path.
Yeah, I mean, that was an ugly game yesterday, but there was a big deficit they overcame, and with the Bills winning it, they now go forward, guys, with the confidence that they can win in that situation, because that was something that they really struggled recently, is to win those like single score games. So let's go to the Steelers here, guys, because they finally gave their fans what they've been waiting for, and that's first round pick Kenny Pickett in the game for Mitch Trubisky, and of course Pickett living up to his name there, throwing 3 interceptions as the Steelers lose to the Jets. So is it going to be the right move? Is it the right move right now to stick with Pickett, Jules?
This is a tough one because I was ready to say, of course, yes. Like, how are you going to go back to Mitch Trubisky? He's not going to be confident. And then, as soon as he doesn't play well, which he doesn't play well all the time, then you got to go back to Pickett again. And how is this dynamic going to work? But then I looked at the schedule. the Steelers are massive underdogs at Buffalo this weekend. Is that what you want to make Kenny Pickett's first start after he just got picked off 3 times at home by the Jets? Probably not. So I think I'm going to throw Mitch Trubisky into the fire one more time and let him flail in Buffalo and just be destroyed. And then, all right, now we see Trubisky does stink. Now we're going to go to Kenny Pickett. That's the way I would do it. We'll see what Mike Tomlin does.
Jeff, plus 1,200, rookie of the year. Those are his odds on the DK Sportsbook right now.
I don't hate it. I really don't. There's a couple different reasons for it. And yeah, I do think it's time to go to Pickett. Quite frankly, it was time to go to Pickett last week off the long week. You know, when you had long preparation to play the Jets, and you probably would have won if you'd started to Kenny Pickett. I'm just saying, Mike Tomlin, like, maybe think a little bit ahead. But no, I mean, like, you can't put the genie back in the bottle here. I mean, give me a break. Like, yeah, okay, we can sit here and say, oh, like, Kenny Pickett should rest his first full year and he should look like, it's just not the way the NFL works anymore. These guys come in ready. Pickett already gave them a spark. Yeah, he threw 3 picks. You know what? So what though? I mean, like, he's a rookie. The Steelers really aren't that good on defense. He's going to have to throw. He's probably going to throw 3 picks in the game again, but let him go out and create. They have elite wide receivers. Why do you pay Deontay Johnson? Why do you draft George Pickens if you're going to put Mitch Trubisky at quarterback? Like, nothing is going to come from that. And plus 14, I mean, yeah, like, but you know, the Bills are banged up. You want some magic to happen. You want your quarterback to get confidence. Put him out there against the Bills. Yeah. Let him throw it up. Maybe let him throw for 300 yards against the banged up Bills defense. No, you can't hold these first round draft picks back. It's not in anyone's best interest, in my opinion. Pickett's shown that he's got game. I think he's going to give the Steelers a big boost, and I'll be very interested in the Steelers plus 14 if he starts. I don't really know why it took this long, to be honest. I think he should start last week. So.
I mean, Jeff, he moved the ball in the second half. Like, the Steelers had 171 yards and 14 points in the second half.
If Mike Tomlin just doesn't have them throwing when they're up 3 in field goal range, I mean, you know, they win the game. So I don't really know. You can't put the loss on Pickett, even with the INTs. I mean, Tomlin's got to call a bit better game there too. So yeah, I would like to see him play. I actually think that I wasn't very big on Kenny Pickett coming into the draft, and from preseason on, like, I've been pretty impressed. I want to see more of him, quite frankly. So
yeah, maybe Tomlin just goes back to him, gives him a whole week's worth of practices with the starters. Okay, so some big injuries also yesterday, guys. So you had Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, like, both leaving the game. So the Colts and Broncos, it's going to be a short turnaround for them as well, because they're both going to meet on Thursday night. Do the Colts stand any chance without Taylor, Jeff? I know he was one of your big plays yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, it's just super frustrating if you're a Jonathan Taylor owner. We've been through this with Christian McCaffrey the last couple of years. You pick him high. They just look so locked in. Oh, there's nothing that can go wrong here. And now we're sitting here through 4 weeks. He's had 1 big game. He's had 3 busts, and now he's injured. It's like, and now you're asking, this is the whole thing with the Colts. Why do they keep going to these retread veteran quarterbacks? They can't do anything for you. They're game managers. And when your whole thesis of we're going to build around Jonathan Taylor and build a solid defense and win games that way, when one of those narratives breaks down, and in the Colts aspect, it's multiple because their defense hasn't been good either. What does Matt Ryan give you? It gives you nothing. Matt Ryan going to be throwing for 350 yards and like no touchdowns and a couple picks every week now. No, I think that the Colts, I'm almost, I mean, I didn't really like them much before. I gave them a chance last week because I thought they were going to get it together and Taylor would put together a good game against a weak rush defense. And they kind of got hammered by the Titans, quite frankly. I don't know how much more you can expect from the Colts. I mean, Michael Pittman's probably going to have a good fantasy year. Ryan will rack up yards, but I mean, this team without Jonathan Taylor or a defense that's like top 10, man, I mean, I don't know what you can expect from the Colts. They're lucky they're in the AFC South, or they could push for like being a 4 or 5 win team.
Yeah, Jules, you a little nervous right now? Were you on the Colts preseason?
It's my division winner, the Colts.
Yeah.
Good news is the division stinks. The bad news is the Colts might be the stinkiest of them. Yeah. The Colts do have a chance because they're playing Nathaniel Hackett and the Broncos on Thursday Night Football, and that's also not a very good team at the moment, despite grinding out a few wins or a couple wins. So yeah, they do stand a chance, but I can't put my faith in either of these teams right now. I don't know how you bet Thursday night football, given the matchup that we're gonna have. Particularly, I would lean maybe Indy, but without Taylor now, and running backs don't matter that much, but there are a couple that do, and he's one of them. I can't go there, can't get there.
Yeah,
and the Broncos. I mean, the Broncos lost Randy Gregory and Javonte Williams, so it's not like they're beat up on both sides. I mean, I like the Broncos last week, but like I don't know where they stand at the moment. So this game, it's going to be a weird one.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell looking at like the Lions injury report yesterday, just how banged up those guys are, and a couple.
And they still put up 1 million points.
Yeah, they still managed to do that. And Jules, the Lions are now 4-0 to the over, and then you have another trend here. Look at the Falcons. The NFL's only 4-0 team ATS right now. So which trend would you put more stock into, Jules?
The Falcons are definitely better than a lot of us expected, myself included. But the numbers going to and kind of has, we've already seen the number against Tampa this week, adjust a little bit. I put more stock in the Lions. The Lions are 4-0 to the over. They're going over by an average of 21 points per game. We've already seen this number in New England tick up. I really want to bet. I don't love this week 5 board much. The first thing I'm looking at is that Lions over. The Patriots have put up some points against Baltimore. They got it together in the second half in Green Bay. I think they can put up some points in this game against a really bad Lions defense. And we know the Lions can put up points almost regardless of who's on the field. So the only red flag for me in this one is that it will be Detroit's first game outdoors. They've played 3 home games and 1 game at Minnesota. So now you're coming to a, I don't know. Did you go outside this morning, Emerson? It was freezing here in New England, windy.
Yep. I was in my shorts.
Yeah. Classic you, bathing suit and a BC women's lacrosse jacket in October. Anyway, I think Lions overs are just going to keep going. They're that type of team. That was 48-45 yesterday with a total of 48.
Jeff, Falcons 2-2 right now. Same record as the Broncos and the Chargers. 2 preseason Super Bowl contenders here, man.
Yeah, they're only 1 game back of the Bucks.
Yeah,
they get to play next week. I mean, look, the Lions their defense is just getting shredded again. But I typically those things tend to normalize. Teams when they start to let up too many points, they'll start to play slower. Julian mentioned a great point about them playing indoors. I think that's going to normalize for the Lions long term. I think the Falcons are going to be scrappy all year. I think that this is like they may not be the Bengals of this year, but they're going to be similar. To the point where we're going to get to the end of the year, like, wow, like we really underrated the Falcons. They have a good rush defense. They have a good run game too. Cordell Patterson continues to just be one of the most underrated football players of the last decade. They've drafted another guy in Tyler Algier who, just really solid. They're starting to integrate him more. Their receiver core is, they've got possession guys. They've got, obviously Kyle Pitts playing just a role who I think his role is going to continue to expand and just is uncoverable. And Marcus Mariota just playing pretty smart football. Like there's not too many holes on this team. If their secondary can improve a little bit, I think this team is actually going to be a hard out even for the better teams going forward. So again, like we're talking about against the spread here. I'm not projecting the Falcons for like 11 or 12 wins, but +8, the Lions normalized a bit, but that's still, 8 points. It's a big ask for a team to cover against a team like Atlanta, who, not making many mistakes. Defense is a little bit better than people thought, and now their offense is also producing a lot of different categories. I think the Falcons keep covering, and I think they're going to be a really, just to end the year as one of the best against the spread teams.
Yeah, a lot better than anyone could have predicted, because you got to look at those 2 losses that the Falcons have. Also, Jeff, like the Saints came back on them in the final minute, and then their own huge comeback, like falling short against the Rams. So that's to go along with those 2 wins there. You two hang out because we need to dive into some Monday Night Football picks coming up. And speaking of picks, how about some preseason NHL picks right now with my dude, Kevin Weeks, who was hanging out in studio with us last week. Who's going to be the breakout star 2022, 2023, this next season?
Breakout star this upcoming season, I would say, is Jack Hughes,
Ooh.
New Jersey Devils. He was so nice with it last year. He was so good till he got injured. Both him and Jesper Bratt were really, really good for the Devils. I think Jack Hughes of the Devils breaks out this year if he stays healthy.
All right, MVP, Hart Trophy pick.
Hart Trophy pick this year.
I mean, it's probably going to be the same cluster of like.
It's going to be the
dudes,
same cluster
right?
of 5 dudes, but somebody else that's going to be in that if he stays healthy is Igor Shesterkin, Rangers goalie that just won the Vezina. He's money, money, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him in that mix, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him win it if the Rangers play the way they played last year.
I mean, so I was going to ask for like your bread and butter next year, Vezina. You just think it's a repeat?
I think it's a repeat. I think it's just Shesterkin. It's either him or Vasilevsky in Tampa, 2 of the best on the planet.
Calder pick for Rookie of the Year?
Ooh, Calder pick for Rookie of the Year this year.
Anybody on the radar currently right now?
Yeah, there's guys on the radar right now. I would say I would keep an eye on Dylan Holloway up in Edmonton.
All right.
Keep an eye on him.
Will do.
I really like him a lot.
All right. How about a dark horse team? Could make a deep playoff run.
That can make
someone we're not really talking about now.
That we're not really talking about. Let me tell you, they're not that we're not talking about them, but they don't get enough love.
Well, that's
is
good.
my old club, Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh.
Down in Carolina. My man Rod Brindamore does an amazing job. If he was coaching college football, if they're paying 11, what's Coach Saban making? Coach Saban's making 11,
like
13 sheets.
Yeah.
He's making, my man Roddy B would be north of 10.
Yeah, and he's down there. That's down in Carolina. That's college football
I'm telling
territory.
You, right there, man. Roddy B's transformed the culture. He's restored what it was when it was great. In the 2 years that we got to the Stanley Cup Final in 2002, then they went back and won it again with him as a player. He's restored that there. Look for them to make a deep run if their goalie Freddie Anderson can stay healthy.
That's another fan base I hear is phenomenal.
It's oh my gosh,
like they show out that team,
bro. When I'm telling you, our Cup Final run in 2002, this had never been seen in hockey before, right? And to your point about the football and everything else, so we would be once the playoffs started. I get goosebumps talking about it. Once the playoffs started, we would be pulling up for pregame skate in the morning. And the fans would be out there tailgating.
So because they're used to doing that. Yeah, you are getting.
I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Oh I'm telling you, it's so crazy.
Soft skin.
Thank you. But honest to God, it was so motivating to see them there. You're pulling up in the morning for pregame skate during the Stanley Cup
funneling
beer funnel. You have the whole thing. Beanbag hole, whatever you want to call it. They're doing it. The grill's going just like they would for NC State Wolfpack games there, and or Duke games or UNC games or you name it. It was just awesome, man.
All right, right now, your Stanley Cup Finals matchup. Give me your final matchup here. Don't tell me who's going to win. Just give me the matchup first.
Stanley Cup Final matchup. I would say Carolina Hurricanes in the East, and I would go. St. Louis or Colorado in the West.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now give me the winner then. You got 2 teams right now. Only 2 teams can make the final. Okay, wow. All right, there we go. So they're coming out of the East.
Yeah, that's what I say
Abs,
today.
No repeat, no back-to-back.
Right, and I say this predicated on we don't know what's going to come through camp. Camp's just open.
For sure.
So we know by the time.
That's the fun about preseason, but if you're right, you are going to look really good.
100%. And not like to cover, but just heaven forbid, this, a guy, it's a hammy, there's a groin, there's an MCL, you know what I mean? Then those teams look very different come opening night based on training camp, nicks, and injuries.
Yep.
But as of today,
right now everyone's healthy. You're going Canes as the Stanley Cup champion next season.
That's what I'm rolling with right now.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. I love it. Weeksy, it was great hanging with you, man.
You too.
Looking
Thanks so much.
To,
appreciate it. Let's do it again.
Wherever you break news next.
Let's do it. Let's do it again. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff.
All right, appreciate you.
Yeah, can you believe it? This Friday and Saturday, Nashville and San Jose will play the first regular season game, so October 7th and 8th, at Prague's O2 Arena. This is part of the NHL Global Series in Europe. So let's dive into some more NHL picks with 2 of my faves here. The RotoWire, the riveting RotoWire duo of Paul Bruno and AJ Schultz. What's up, guys? How are you? Good morning.
Hey, we're excited. We got our podcast up and running. The 4th installment of our preseason is going to be airing tomorrow. So hit us up at Statsman22 and AJ Schultz 24.
Okay, that sounds good. I appreciate that. So AJ, our dude Kevin Weeks going with Jack Hughes here as a breakout fantasy pick. That's his preseason pick. Where are you going here?
I'm going to go to the Hurricanes and go with Seth Jarvis here. Really fantastic rookie campaign, 40 points in 68 games. And I think this season, more top 6 opportunities, expanded power play role is potentially there. I think it's, production could go up. I think 20 goals is a lock. He had 17 last year. I think he'll easily get to 20. So I'm looking at Seth Jarvis for the Hurricanes as kind of a breakout performer, if you will. I know he already had a rookie season, but if Kevin can go with Jack Hughes, I can go with Seth Jarvis.
Yeah. You can do whatever you want. This is y'all's segment here. So, Paul, what do you want to do here?
Well, AJ's onto something. I looked at the top sixes of a lot of teams in the NHL, and three of them in the Eastern Conference have a similar profile. They got 5 spots locked up, but there's one guy on each of 3 teams that's vying for that 6th spot. And I'm going to tell you about the other 2. Rudy Balcers came over to Florida from San Jose. He got 23 points last year, but in a 3rd and 4th line role much of the time. I think if a top 6 role awaits him with the depth that they have around him, I could see him getting up to 60 to 70 points this year. And then closer to home in Toronto, Nick Robertson is a guy that's making waves in the exhibition schedule so far. We've been waiting on him as a top prospect in the Leaf system for a while. They have a big opening on the 2nd line, and if he can fill it, he can and continue doing what he did in the AHL and in junior. He's a top scorer, and he could be another guy that adds a lot of points to the Leafs totals this year.
Okay, well, Paul, who's on your Hart Trophy radar right now? Who would you bet?
Well, if you want the boring answer, that's going to be right. It's going to be the same 2 guys as last year, McDavid and Matthews vying for the trophy. Matthews probably going to be leading the league in goals again, and McDavid in points. Wash, rinse, repeat there. But if you want 2 other guys that are going to challenge them, I'm going to give you one that's got a bit of a dark horse, and that's Artemi Panarin. He might be the most skilled New York Ranger player, and I think the opportunity for him is going to be moving up to the top line, because I don't think Kreider is going to repeat a 50-goal season. I think he's going to be primed for a bust campaign, and Panarin's going to take up his spot. And then Nikita Kucherov, always, if he's healthy, he's always a contender for the Hart Trophy. So there's a couple other names to consider.
Okay, AJ, where do you want to go here? So Kevin Weeks went with Igor Shesterkin.
Guys, 2 segments, 2 Leafs reference from Paul already. It's going to be a long season.
Dude, it is going to be the longest season
already.
ever.
There's more to come. There's more to come.
Anyway, back to Hart Trophy. Look, at some point, they're going to have to give this award to Nathan McKinnon. Like, he's coming up off a Stanley Cup. He's got 3 seasons with north of 85 points. He'll likely have to carry the load a little bit more than he already does to start the year with Landeskog injured. He's plus 1,000 on the DK Sportsbook. I think that's great value for a guy that always leads his team and really should be more of a contender here. Like, at some point, they're just going to give it to him because he warrants it, even if one of these other guys maybe has a slightly better statistical season. But I think McKinnon's turn is coming.
Okay, so where then? Let's go to the crease. So Vezina Trophy bet. What would yours be right now, preseason, AJ?
Well, I think Shesterkin or Vasilevsky makes the most sense either way. They'll both be in contention. So if we're looking at the DK Sportsbook here, Vasilevsky has the better odds at plus 500. There's still no real drop-off in this team that we've seen, despite losing the cup. That's still 3 straight finals. The Atlantic Division isn't a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination, but there are still a couple weaker teams in here. So I like, just from a straight odds perspective, you're getting twice the value with Vasilevsky compared to Shesterkin.
Yeah, Paul, is there any value here to be found in this market?
Yeah, yes, there is. I'm looking at Jacob Markstrom for Calgary. A lot of people are saying, well, they lost a couple of key players, but they may even be better this year because they actually bolstered their blue line in addition to replacing the 2 offensive pieces that left. Mackenzie Weegar is a huge add on their defense, giving them one of the best depth charts on the blue line. And don't forget, Markstrom is a guy who led the league in shutouts last year. Calgary's going to be just as good as they were last season. And then over in Nashville, this is a team that plays defense first, and Juuse Saros is another one of those workhorse goalies that's going to be in contention for this award. He had great numbers last year. His defense is going to be stronger too, with the addition of Ryan McDonough, who came over from Tampa. That's a beautiful deep defense core as well. So that's where I'm looking for value in the Nets.
Well, Paul, when we talk Calder bet here, so Kevin Weeks goes Dylan Holloway. Which direction do you want to go in?
Yeah, he's out of his mind if he thinks that he's going to come in 3rd behind the 2 guys I'll mention. And I know AJ's on one of them. So this might be the dollar bet that we talk about on our show all year long. In fact, I'm going to give you a Canadian-born guy, Mason Mctavish, who looks like a man against boys when he played in junior with Peterborough and Hamilton, and he had an outstanding couple of tournaments with the World Junior Championships that Canada won. And then Matty Beniers coming of age in Seattle. He's going to get a first-line role coming out of the University of Michigan, was a top draft pick for the Seattle club, and will make a big splash this year. And I think those 2 are going to battle it out for the leading scorer opportunity among rookie scorers, and one of them is going to come away with the trophy for the Calder.
Okay, who stands out to you right now, AJ?
Yeah, Matty Beniers is my pick. He's the favorite for a reason at plus 400 here. First line center, most likely in Seattle. They'll put him on the number one power play, I'm sure. And personally, I just have more faith in some of the collegiate guys. I think the collegiate experience prepares guys better than coming straight out of juniors in some of these cases. One other dark horse, though, I'll throw in there is Marco Rossi for the Minnesota Wild. Hasn't really had the experience, played just 2 games last year, but he's got a ton overseas where he's played a significantly bigger role. So I think that should translate well for him. With the Wild affiliate in the AHL in Iowa, 53 points last year in 63 games. So I think he's a good candidate at plus 1,600, give you a little more value. But ultimately, I think I would take Matty Beniers.
Okay, Paul, the Hurricanes, is that a dark horse cup pick? In your opinion?
Of course not. They're one of the top 2 or 3 each one of the last couple of years, and they're stacked offensively, defensively, and in goal if they get a healthy Freddie Anderson. But hey, big news, big headline for you. It's been 30 years since a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup. I think 2 of them are going to be in the final this year. I'm going to say Calgary versus Toronto. Eat your hearts out if you're south of the border. That's what's going to happen. I live in the Get It Right League. You know about it. And Emerson, how many times have I got the baseball stuff right and messaging you in the wee hours?
Yeah,
and
you're nailing it.
And AJ's killing it in soccer. Now we join forces. We're going to even be better together.
All right, AJ, what are you shaking your head for? What's going on?
There's no way. There's no way it's going to be Calgary against Toronto. I would expect your drought to continue, Paul. There's too many good teams here.
I mean, Paul, Toronto's second in the odds here. Like, I don't know if that's a much better dark horse.
You know what? They are always inflated numbers because there are lots of Canadians that bet on this thing. But really, they should be about 6th or 7th on the list. And I think that they're going to be there. So live in the Get It Right lane.
All right. Go ahead, AJ.
Let me give you guys an actual dark horse.
Yeah, there we
go. But since Paul opened the door to just this being a homer segment, why don't we look at the Pittsburgh Penguins plus 2,000 here? That is actually a dark horse value. Look, call it the homer pick you want, but I have mentioned repeatedly that Evgeny Malkin's best games come when he is upset and he gets angered by opponents. Well, guess what? His own team pissed him off this last season. So now we're going to have angry Malkin all year long with something to prove. They need Tristan Jarry, phenomenal regular season goalie. They need him to be healthy in the postseason, and I think he can carry him there. We've looked at, Chris Letang is like the Tom Brady of physical fitness when it comes to the NHL. Like, this guy just gets better with age. So they've got the top blue liner here, and I haven't even mentioned Sidney Crosby. I think as a dark horse, they're a legit candidate. Now, if you're asking me who is my cup win or cup favorite, it's not the Penguins. But if you want a dark horse at plus 2,000, they actually make sense as opposed to picking the team that's second in the odds, Paul.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah, so Slate's just slacked me right now. Producer Slate says new segment this year. We got Homer Hockey with Paul and AJ.
Love it.
Yeah.
It'll just be all Leafs, all Penguins. It'll be
all
great.
the time.
All right, boys. Appreciate it. I'm excited for this to start later this week, and then we'll have more regular season hockey coming back here in the States in just a moment. But coming up here on the Sweat, everybody, we got Monday Night Football picks. So Jeff and Jules will return. We got some DFS. We got some bets to get to. But also last week I talked with Mike Golick Sr. Yes, half of the Golick and Smitty podcast. We dove into this game a little bit tonight. Rams 49ers. We're going to wrap up week 4 here. Monday Night Football, NFC Championship rematch from last year, Mike. So we're talking Rams visiting the 49ers. And I thought it was interesting here because the line flipped in San Fran's favor. So how much does that surprise you given how the 49ers offense looked with Jimmy G in that loss to Denver?
It does surprise me a bit because Jimmy G, like Russell Wilson, some of their passes were just flat out off to wide open receivers behind him, high, in the dirt. It was somewhat surprising to me. Now, was Jimmy G kicking off a little rust in his first week as a starter? I don't know, but Kittle was back, and that's obviously he's one of the best tight ends around. You got Debo, you got Ayuk. I mean, they got the power there. They were missing a couple of running backs, but I was a little surprised with Garoppolo with his passing. But their defense played excellent even in that loss. But I am surprised that the line flipped to them.
Yeah, I think that's why some are giving the edge to the 49ers, because the better overall defense, more reliable running game at home. Plus, Mike, you can't sleep on the strong recent history of Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. So Shanahan 7-3 head-to-head against McVay in the regular season.
Yeah, you just wonder how that happens, right? And what's the effect of that as the chess match goes back and forth of head coach against head coach? Because to me, listen, head coaches are obviously important, but I always put more on the players and executing on the field and getting the job done.
All right, everybody. Week 4 around the NFL. Julian Edlow, stop laughing.
Caught you off guard there, huh? We had a countdown and everything to start the segment.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, I'm really on top of things today. So it's the Rams at the 49ers, pivotal early season divisional matchup here in the NFC West. So there is a Millie Maker on DraftKings, everybody. So go ahead and build a lineup for that. Just $15 to get into the Monday Night Football Showdown Millie Maker. So let's go ahead and help you guys and gals build some money making lineup. So Jeff Ulrich, your captain tonight. Who do you want for Rams at 49ers?
Yeah, I mean, I think Deebo Samuel's very viable here. I think most people will be looking at Cooper Kupp and just try, I mean, there's just not, there's not many viable captains candidates, I think. And I think most people just be looking to Kupp and saying, well, we'll take the free points there. And that is definitely a possibility that works out. But I think Deebo Samuel, with what he's done and just in terms of the usage with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, has similar upside to Cooper Kupp. Is he more boom or bust? Absolutely. He's probably, not going to get you to the 100-yard bonus receiving, but he could definitely get you a rushing touchdown. He could definitely get you, 7 or 8 receptions and put up the fantasy, boom game that way. So against the Rams last year, he's extremely productive. His targeting with Jimmy G this year, he's averaged about 7.5 targets in the 2 games with Garoppolo at quarterback. I expect that number to be very similar tonight, and I expect his usage to be up there tonight against the Rams secondary that, quite frankly, has been giving up big plays. They've given up a lot of points to opposing wide receivers, and you've got San Francisco at home as well. I think that the Kupp is going to have so much ownership on him. Just starting with Deebo Samuel in the captain spot, going to make your lineup unique, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, Jules, do you like that strategy?
That's exactly where I was going. I was going to say you captain Deebo here. He averaged in the 3 matchups, if you include the NFC Championship game, he averaged over 100 combined yards and had 4 total touchdowns in those 3 games. And Cooper Kupp is a guy that a lot of people are going to go after, and he may have a good game, but his numbers drop divisionally. His numbers drop on the road divisionally. His numbers drop against the Niners. So this could very well be a down spot for Cooper Kupp. And if that's the case, and he's going to be highly owned, I want Deebo, who generally steps up in this spot.
Okay, cool. So then, Jules, how about a value play tonight?
I'm going Niners defense, actually. It'll tie into a bet that I'm going to talk about later. I think that they're going to get some pressure on Stafford, create some sacks, some turnovers, and I'm not all that impressed with the Rams so far. Had a tough time, maintaining a lead against the Falcons, and then go on the road and beat a really bad Cardinals team in the division. 2nd road game in a row, and it's all in the division. I think the Rams are going to let down in this spot.
Okay, Jeff, how low are you going to go here for value?
Well, I mean, we could play Ross Dwelly if we wanted to, I guess. He's 800.
Yeah.
That's pretty low. I like Juwan Jennings at 2,000. I think that's a legitimate play for showdown tonight. He's seeing almost 50% of the snaps thus far. He's pretty much the clear wide receiver 3. San Francisco does mix, players in there. You see Ray McLeod in there. Danny Gray is a thing, but Juwan Jennings, I like with Jimmy Garoppolo for a few reasons. We did see him pop a little bit with Garoppolo last year, but he's a big possession receiver. And, towards the end zone, again, like we've got a pocket quarterback in now for San Francisco. He's just going to see, I think, more usage naturally with Jimmy Garoppolo here. And I mentioned, how do you attack the San Francisco defense? I mean, Shanahan is good at scheming against it, but their secondary is just the passing defense of the Rams just not there this year. I mean, it's pretty bad. And Julian mentioned he's not been impressed with the Rams. I haven't really been impressed with them in a lot of ways either. They got smoked at home week 1. And I know it's the Bills, but San Francisco's a solid team as well here. I think you're going to see some of these pass catchers, perhaps Kittle as well, get off the mat for San Francisco. But Juwan Jennings at 2,000, do not be shocked if he finds the end zone, or maybe even just like catches 3 or 4 balls. Regardless, in a game that's only got a 42.5 point total right now, like if Jennings does get you three catches, I mean, that's going to be huge at 2K. So.
Yeah, and the spread too is just 2 points. So 49ers 2-point home favorite currently here, Jules. And you can't ignore the record that Kyle Shanahan has head to head. If we discussed it yesterday on the Sweat against Sean McVay. So Shanahan 7-3 head to head against him.
Yes, got some dog action back there.
Yeah, a lot of dogs.
Yeah. I will not be going with the dog in this game. I will be going with the favorite in the 49ers. You see what I did there? I'm quick on my feet. Yeah, I'm not going to ignore the record that Shanahan has, and I'm not going to ignore that I don't like what I've seen from the Rams so far, and I'm not going to ignore that they are on the second of back-to-back road games within the division, which is a tough spot to play in and win both of those games, and they won against Arizona. So it's the Niners for me. I don't like the injury that San Francisco sustained to Trent Williams on the offensive line. That's the one thing that is kind of keeping me away here, but still, I'll go Niners, and, short division favorites. I'll just take it -130 on the money line.
Okay, Jeff, 49ers have had the Rams number as of late. So 5-0 ATS in their last 5 meetings.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of a prove-it spot for the 49ers right now. I mean, and it's weird to see it early in the year, but they've started slow, and now they've got Garoppolo back at quarterback. Like, if this team can do what they did last year, which is dominate the Rams in the regular season, I mean, I think there's a lot of chance that San Francisco will be a similar team to what we saw last year, with just a really tough out. And I'll take the 49ers here as well. The Rams, they don't really have what you'd call like an impressive win thus far. I mean, they let Atlanta back in that game pretty terribly, and I mean, they weren't exactly shut down versus Arizona to the point where the game was over at any point. So, yeah, I think 2 games on the road, a bit of an extra effort to try and close out Atlanta and then Arizona. I think this is a pretty big letdown spot for the Rams. And I think that the 49ers as well, with that injury and just with the injuries in their backfield, I think that you're going to see some of their pass catchers have big games. I really do. I think they're going to take advantage of this Rams secondary that has been giving up, quite frankly, just like big games left and right to receivers. And the 49ers have the weapons to attack that. We already talked about Debo, but Kittle, even Jennings is just a dude I think the 49ers are going to use in this matchup. So give me the 49ers here. The line's moved to 2, but the more of the bets have been on the Rams all week. So
yeah, Jeff, total has gone under in 4 of the last 5 meetings between these two teams. Do you think that trend continues tonight?
I don't. I actually am going to lean over here. It's. I know it's going against the grain. I know it's going against a little bit of just the trends, but as we saw last night, the unders have been hitting and the primetime unders have been good, but I think you see these things normalize over time. And I think this is another spot where this line's maybe just a little bit too low. I liked it a lot more when it was like 41, but I'm going to lean over even at 42.5. I think that the 49ers offense is going to do some damage here. I think that they're going to come out, make up for last week pretty quick. I think that's going to put the Rams in a spot where they're throwing and just making this a faster paced game. So again, going against a lot of the trends here for me, but I'm going to put my faith in Shanahan, just being very efficient on offense tonight, which I think they're going to be.
I mean, Jules, neither of these offenses have looked very good so far this season. So Rams 15th points per game, 49ers are 28th.
Yeah, I hate this total. I'm much more confident in the Niners side of things, but you're going to make me pick it, so I'll talk about it.
Yep, right.
It's so low, 42.5, that it just takes a few weird plays, like last night in a primetime game. You fumble the opening kickoff, immediate touchdown. One weird play like that, and now you're on pace for the over. So I lean over with Jeff, but the fact that the number is so low, I know that it's going with the grain to go under, but the fact that it is so low and kind of staying there, it wouldn't surprise me at all. So no real take here.
Okay, well that's fantastic. Maybe you have a better take when I ask you about a prop bet tonight. Do you have one that you're passionate about that will actually have you smiling?
Yes, I've double passion about this to make up for having no passion about the total on the game. I'm filled with passion about Matthew Stafford over half an interception at -125. Matthew Stafford's going to throw an interception tonight against the 49ers. He has 5 interceptions on the season. The only game that he didn't throw one was against Arizona. If you go back to the postseason last year, he's now thrown an interception in 4 of his last 5 games. He threw an interception in all 3 of his contests against the Niners last year. 5 total interceptions in those 3 games against the Niners. He's going to throw an interception. So there you go.
Love that. Love that passion. Jeff, how about you, man?
Wow. Yeah. I don't know if I'll be able to match that passion, but I'm going to try here. I'm going to absolutely try. I actually do like that bet. I think that minus, it's actually moved to, it's at minus 125, I think, for the pick. I like those odds. I like that for Stafford. That was actually one I was just going to mention briefly, but I also mentioned the San Francisco passing game. I think there's a couple different ways you can get some pretty good odds here. Jimmy Garoppolo over 1.5 passing touchdowns is plus 135. We're not going to take Jimmy Garoppolo every week to throw 2 passing touchdowns, but he's actually done this, in 2 of his last 3 games against the Rams. I mean, this is just a secondary where, or just a defense in general. They don't allow a ton of rushing touchdowns. They're a bit more of a funnel to the pass, and their secondary is just weaker this year. I think that Garoppolo has every chance to get this, especially with the way the backfield is set up for San Francisco. And give me plus 135. We'll take that. And then George Kittle's prop is just too low here. 42.5, played over 90% of the snaps last week. He's destroyed the Rams at various points in his career. He's had multiple games where he's gone for over 90 yards. I think this is just too low on Kittle. A great after the catch player. He's healthy. His second game back, I think that's a good prop just to go over on as well.
Okay. Kittle has scored 5 career touchdowns against the Rams. So that's 3 more than any other team that he's played. Interesting fun fact there. You two are done. Thank you so much for your passionate take, especially about the total there, Jules. We got one more break to go. We got one more block to go. Bukes is in the house. We got 3 more days left in the Major League Baseball regular season. The playoffs wildcard series start on Friday. So we're going to pick his brain a little bit about some of the MLB headlines right now.
How many wings will you use?
Baseball's dead? Nah. We've got pitchers hitting grand slams, a team playing a 4-man outfield, and the best crop of Major League talent maybe ever. Baseball is alive and well, and it's about to get even better. Bet just $5 to get 100 in free bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up with the promo code, bet $5 to get 100 instantly, and get in on the action.
Everyone loves an underdog story. You know why? Because it fills you with hope, makes you believe, right? Hold on now. Did you say any team? So now I can bet the overdog for underdog odds? Team Overdog, where you at? Let me hear you.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Bet just $5 to win $200 if your team wins. Action's so good, why bet NFL anywhere else?
You know, betting without a game plan is a little like skating a giant ramp without helmet and pads. I wouldn't risk it. And I wouldn't bet without a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook provides you with tools to set a realistic budget and time limits, so you're ready to bet responsibly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook and Casino apps to learn more about how you can practice safe bets.
All right, we're back for our final block of the show here on The Sweat, and we're bringing on Steve Buchanan to kind of talk about some of these baseball headlines that are making headlines right now. Bukes, have you recovered from your wings, your super spicy wings yesterday on The Sweat?
Yeah, but I think the stack, that was a spicy stack, people haven't recovered from that because lots of money was made with that spicy stack of Jared Goff and Josh Reynolds.
Dude, big time, bro. Big time. What do you have? What Goff have? Like 4 touchdowns?
He might have had like 9 for all I know. It's just very spicy.
All right, we have you here. We have you here to talk baseball, though. So, like, the big story this morning is you had the Braves sweeping the Mets. So it looks like they're going to get the Padres here in the wild card round.
Yeah.
How much concern right now, Steve, do you have with when it comes to Mets playoff futures here?
You should be very, very concerned at this rate. I mean, you don't want to take a regular season sample size, too much stock into that, but the Mets would, like you said, face the Padres. They went 2-4 against them during the regular season in 2 series in June and July. But to me, like the biggest concern, has to be Jacob deGrom. Has a 4.50 ERA since the month of September, 14 earned runs on 23 hits. The strikeouts are still there, 47 strikeouts through 28 innings. But when you consider he has a 4.50 ERA, and then he's faced the Pirates twice, the Cubs, the Athletics, and the Braves, that's some concern there. And the Mets no longer have the ability to kind of make their rotation how they want it, because if they're playing in the wild card, well, then you have to use deGrom and Scherzer right off the bat. Then your divisional round setup isn't what you want it to be. So there's some big concern here for the Mets. This is kind of the collapse everybody was waiting for.
Steve, do you believe that there's a lot of correlation there between how teams are playing at the end of the regular season and then how they end up performing in the playoffs?
I think there is there. I mean, there is something to that. I mean, you definitely want to be going into it feeling good and not trying to, hit the reset button once the playoffs start. So I think there has to be a lot of bad feelings about this Mets team right now, because they needed to win that series. The Braves were plus 275 to win the division before the first game started, and now it looks like they have that locked up. So even when you look at the odds, the Braves were kind of a long shot here, and they did what they had to do.
Yeah. I mean, the Braves are hot. Like, any other futures that you would consider with that team right now?
Yeah, I mean, the Braves are coming in red hot. I mean, they've really been hot. It feels like all season long, but their pitching staff has been excellent in the second half. The starters and relievers have a 3.11 ERA. That's the second best in the National League over the second half. 4th overall in Major League Baseball. And then the offense doing exactly what they need to do. Second in runs scored and home runs in the National League over the second half. That offense, there's no easy outs when it comes to that Braves lineup. When you have somebody like Michael Harris, who's a Rookie of the Year front runner, and he was hitting 9th for the majority of the season he was up here, and he was one of the most overall productive 9-hole hitters in Major League Baseball. When you have that type of production up and down the lineup, it's going to be tough to knock you out. And now that the Braves have the ability to win the division and have a much easier road to the World Series, as the guys who a 3rd or 4th most overall odds to win the World Series, you have to like that a lot.
Yeah. What do you think about Aaron Judge going for 62 here? Because you can get on the DK Sportsbook plus 200 odds for him just to get stuck at 61. There's 3 days left in the regular season here, dude. I believe they're in Texas to face the Rangers. Yep. He's besides the 61st home run that he hit a few days ago, I mean, he's not playing great. So what? Last night, 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts. First time since August 28th that Judge has struck out 3 or more times in a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an opportunity too. If you have the over and you're not feeling good about it, this is a decent hedging spot that you can get the no on and kind of limit your loss here. Because especially tonight, going up against Martin Perez, he's not somebody that gives up home runs really at all. An 0.52 home run per 9 inning on the season. Only 5 home runs allowed at home this season. That's through a span of 86 1/3 innings. Judge doesn't have a ton of home runs against lefties either. Of the 61 home runs he has, only 14 have come against lefties. So let's just say he doesn't get it tonight. Now you have 2 chances left against this Rangers pitching staff, which, to be fair, not anything daunting or anything like that, but it's not like he's in Yankee Stadium or anything like that. Globe Life Field, by the way, they changed it when they changed the stadium there. Not exactly a great spot to hit home runs either. So I think this is just a good hedging opportunity. Am I looking to get it if I didn't have the over? Probably not, because, when all said and done, do I think he gets it? Yes, most likely, but maybe he's kind of getting into his head here. Maybe teams just don't want to pitch to him like we've seen. So I think it's a great hedging opportunity if you do have the over and are looking to kind of limit your potential loss.
Yeah, it is the 4-game series too, which includes, I believe, a double header tomorrow, Steve.
So he does that. I mean, and they're going to bat him leadoff too. So they're going to give him every ample opportunity to do this. And say hello to your Apple Watch to me.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell just happened there. She wanted to chime in, I guess, about Aaron Judge's home run chase here. Tony La Russa. Looks like Tony La Russa. Why are you rolling your eyes right now?
Oh, I can't stand him. I cannot stand him.
I get it. And you know what? Every White Sox fan that I know is not upset about him retiring here. So I think he's turning 78 actually tomorrow. But his 2-year tenure here. How would you describe it with the White Sox?
Oh, a disaster. An absolute disaster. Let me put it this way. There's no way for me to properly describe this on this show because we can't use foul language. So we'll put it that way. All right. But they never should have got rid of Rick Renteria because after 2020, they made the playoffs. There was never any reason to get rid of him after that. But like, you just think of the blunders that White Sox fans have had to endure all season long, listening to a fan to pinch run Adam Engel in a situation where it was obvious that they needed him to pinch run. Multiple intentional walks while being ahead of the batter in the count is something I will never, ever understand. I don't care what the stats say. If you're ahead of a hitter 1-2 or whatever, you try to go after him and get him out. So I don't want anything bad to happen to the person. So whatever his health concerns are, that is what it is. As a manager, I never want to see his chain-wearing face again on a bench, in a dugout, or whatever. The White Sox need to rid themselves of this guy for good, which they are doing. The announcement is coming, but they need to get a young manager in that clubhouse because that is what that team is. It's a bunch of young kids. Have someone that can connect with this team. I mean, the White Sox had the second best odds to win their division in all of baseball. They only trailed the Dodgers coming into this season. They're not even making the playoffs this year. That's not all on La Russa, but he is a damn big part of that. So goodbye. Never show your face again. I don't want to hear the name Tony La Russa again.
Big preseason World Series pick. I mean, at 93 games he won in year one, and then like this year, as you have just expressed, it was an extreme disappointment. So before you take off though, let's get a couple plays from you. So like, you got a DFS play tonight, high price DFS play.
Yeah, Brandon Woodruff going up against the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight, 10,600. The Brewers no longer control their playoff destiny. They basically have to win every single game and make sure the Phillies don't. So really it's out of their hands, but if they can at least try to do their best to win every game outright moving forward. The Diamondbacks provide plenty of strikeout upside since the month of September, 23.6% K rate, hitting just 230 with an 84 WRC plus over that span. Woodruff has over 30 DraftKings fantasy points over his last 4 starts. He has been phenomenal. He has been one of the bright spots for a Brewers team that has just been doing everything they can to kind of ruin themselves in this playoff hunt here. But tonight against the Diamondbacks, it's a good spot for him.
Okay, so from high price to a value play, can you save us some cash? You got a good play here?
Yeah, over at America's team, Jesse Winker, 3,100. Started to heat up at the plate here, averaging 9.6 DraftKings fantasy points over his last 5 games, 7 straight games reaching base for Jesse Winker here, going up against Brian Garcia of the Tigers. Hasn't pitched much in the major leagues over the last 2 years, though. 376 WOBA to lefties with 7 of the 14 home runs that he's allowed in the outfield spot tonight, 3,100. I think that's a really strong value play.
And then we'll wrap it up with a quick trip to the TK Sportsbook. What do you like for a baseball bet tonight?
Yeah, the Braves winning, I think, continues tonight, but I'm taking them on the run line at +1.5. The Braves are 10-6 on the run line against the Marlins this season, averaging just under 5 runs per game. When facing them, they have Bryce Edler taking the mound tonight, somehow making his 4th start already against the Marlins. I feel like that's the only team that he's pitched against because he hasn't been up in the majors very long, but he's gone 17 2/3 innings against them. 3 runs on 10 hits with 20 strikeouts. Marlins got Jesus Luzardo going tonight. He's been phenomenal, but the Braves absolutely crushed lefties. Give me the Braves on the run line tonight to win this game by at least 2 runs.
All right, Bukes. Good stuff, man. And congrats again on Tony La Russa's retirement.
Goodbye.
All right, everybody. We got Madden kicking off here at high noon. We got a Monday edition of the slate at 5 o'clock. And I'll see everyone back in studio tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time for a Tuesday edition of The Sweat.